I'm glad you enjoyed it, I said with a quiet smile. I always try to do my best. My thoughts lingered on her words, how meaningful the moment had been for her. After a pause, she looked at me thoughtfully and said, "Your effort didn't go unnoticed. Because you were so patient and focused on making me feel comfortable, without thinking of yourself at all, I think you deserve something special." I raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Oh." She nodded, a playful smile forming. "Yes. A very special reward." I couldn't help but grin. "Wow, thank you. Come here," she said softly. As I stepped closer, she turned so her back was toward me. "Place your hands beneath the strap and continue gently massaging my shoulders and upper back," she added. I followed her lead, moving carefully and attentively, focusing on making her feel relaxed and comfortable. I thought we were finished, but it turned out I was mistaken. I took a very quick glance at my watch, thankfully. The glow-in-the-dark hands were easy to see and felt my anxiety ease. I wasn't late after all. I still had a little over 10 minutes before I needed to board the bus. I stepped closer to her, my hands moving beneath the loose fabric of her jersey. Carefully and gently, I adjusted the clothing so it sat more comfortably, my touch deliberate and unhurried. I held her briefly, my hands resting warmly against her as I gave a reassuring squeeze and a slow, thoughtful caress. The moment felt calm, intentional, and shared. Yeah, that's nice," she whispered. I closed my eyes and rested my head gently against her back, continuing what I was doing, guided by her quiet encouragement. After about a minute, I heard a faint pop followed by the soft sound of a zipper. I paused inwardly, curious. I recognized those sounds and the change they often signaled, and I wondered what she was doing next. "All right, move your hands down slowly, to my waist, and keep massaging," she instructed. I did as she asked, letting my hands travel unhurriedly from her upper body, across her smooth, flat stomach, until they rested just above the waistband of her clothing. She placed her hands over mine and gently guided them lower, steering them along the sides of her hips and down her legs. "Oh my gosh, your hands are so incredibly warm," she exclaimed. "Just keep doing that for a while," slowly moving them up and down my sides and along the sides of my legs. As my hands moved upward, she gently released her hold on them for a brief moment, as if pausing to gather her thoughts before continuing. I could feel her shift her clothing slightly, and then her hands gently returned to rest over mine. She let out a soft, deeply contented sigh. Feeling a touch bolder, I let my hands wander upward for a moment, resting there briefly in a gentle, affectionate way before guiding them back down again, keeping the mood tender and unhurried. "I really love it when you do that," she said softly. "The warmth from your hands is incredibly comforting, it feels wonderful." As I slowly moved my hands back down along the sides of her legs, rubbing and massaging as I went, she gently took hold of them and carefully guided them away from her legs and onto the smooth plane of her stomach. I continued to touch her there, light and unhurried, becoming familiar with the warmth beneath my hands. The sound she made was no longer a full sigh, but a quiet catch of breath, as she guided my hands a little farther down, taking her time with every motion. "Be careful now, I've never done this before." "Neither have I admitted silently to myself, feeling a mix of nervousness and quiet anticipation as I considered what lay ahead. As my hand moved along her side and down the inside of her legs, she drew them together slightly, nudging her clothes farther down until they gathered near her shoes. With practiced ease, she lifted one foot free, then the other, before setting them back down again. When she shifted and opened her stance, she leaned back against me for support. For a brief moment I worried I might not be steady enough to hold her, until I heard her quiet breath and felt her weight settle comfortably, reassuring me that everything was just fine. "All right," she said softly. "Be gentle now, slowly bring your hands up along the inside of my legs." "Okay," I replied, managing only that single word, my voice barely steady as I focused on following her instructions with care. As I slowly brought my hands together and moved them upward, I could sense from her reactions that she was deeply affected by the moment. My palms continued their careful path, and it was clear how responsive she had become. I paused briefly, choosing not to rush, wanting to preserve the tenderness of what we were sharing and not disturb the quiet intensity between us. "Keep going." Her voice was so soft that I almost missed it. There was a warmth in her tone that I could feel as much as hear, an unmistakable intensity that carried through every word. It was a sound filled with emotion, somewhere between a quiet hum of contentment and a low, restrained murmur, if that makes any sense at all. With more care than I had ever shown before, I slowly brought my fingers together, moving deliberately and thoughtfully, aware of every small motion and determined not to rush the moment. I carefully moved my hands and fingers up and down, just a little, and very slowly, taking the opportunity to build a kind of mental map. From books and pictures, I already had a general idea of the shape and structure of her most intimate area, and now I was quietly matching what I felt with what I remembered seeing. I was very careful not to linger in any one place, letting my hands move gently, rubbing as they traveled up and down with slightly longer, more flowing strokes. Beneath my touch were warm curves and delicate contours, the soft outer folds and the gentle rise above them, every subtle detail of her intimate form slowly revealed to my exploring hands. She was far more responsive than I had expected, which genuinely surprised me. I had read before about how a woman's body can react in moments of closeness, but I had never imagined it could be so noticeable. It was clearly not anything unpleasant or alarming. Instead, it felt smooth and unfamiliar, almost like a light gel beneath my fingers. The experience left me quietly amazed at how the body can respond on its own, without conscious effort. She shifted her stance, placing her feet farther apart, and I could tell from the color in her cheeks that she was feeling warm and overwhelmed by the moment. I remembered what she had said about it being exciting, and I knew for certain that she was genuinely aroused by the moment. "Keep moving your hand, right there in the center. Yes, that's perfect. Oh, yes, just like that," she whispered, her voice full of warmth and encouragement. I placed my other hand along the curve of her lower back, spreading my fingers as far as they would go. With gentle pressure from my palm, I drew her closer, my hand settling firmly against her, while my fingers traced upward again to the warmth and closeness she radiated. "What are you, oh my goodness?" She began to tremble quite noticeably, her breathing turning quick and uneven. The words, oh my goodness," escaped her again and again as she leaned even more heavily against me. It was taking all of my strength to keep us both steady, but I was determined not to lose my footing. I used both hands, moving them slowly and carefully, massaging her from the front and back at the same time. Each time my palms passed over her most sensitive area, I could feel the subtle contrast, soft on the surface, firmer beneath, and I knew I was touching a place that affected her deeply. She responded instinctively, gently rocking with each pass, reacting every time my hands moved upward and again as they returned, her body clearly responding to the attention. I could tell she was nearing a powerful moment. All the reading I had done and the things I had observed over time had taught me to recognize the signs. Her breathing changed, her body tensed, and there was an unmistakable sense that she was on the edge of something intense. I held her close and supported her as best I could, steadily increasing the pressure with both hands and moving them more quickly. Her body responded with a sudden, intense reaction. She shuddered a few times before becoming completely still, as though all the tension had finally released. She was breathing so quickly and forcefully that I worried we might both lose our balance. After a full minute passed, she finally calmed down and was able to stand upright on her own again. Both of my hands were damp, and there was a dark mark on the floor beneath us. She quickly pulled her undergarments and pants back into place, fastening her jeans again before turning toward me. Without hesitation, she wrapped her arms around me in a tight embrace, so tight I thought I might lose my breath. I believe I may have mentioned before that she was surprisingly strong. As her grip loosened slightly, she parted her lips and leaned in for our slow, tender, and final kiss of the day. I could feel her relax even more in that moment, as if all her tension had faded away. She seemed calm, happy, and completely at ease, quietly content in the warmth we shared. "That was the most incredible experience I've ever had," she said with excitement. "You certainly seemed to enjoy it," I replied with a smile. She nodded eagerly. "I've never felt anything like that before. It was my first time experiencing something so overwhelming, and it was absolutely amazing." I looked at her and offered my warmest smile. "Thank you for letting me experience something so meaningful," I said. "I've always dreamed of being able to make someone feel truly desired, deeply moved, and carried away by the moment." She raised an eyebrow and smiled back. All of that, her? Well, she replied softly, you certainly brought that dream to life in every way.